Welcome to the Coffee in the Barn. I'm Casey Bradley, President and founder of the Swine Group. If you are thinking about entering, changing, advancing, or reinventing your career in the animal science industry, we are here to help you succeed. In each episode, we will cover a variety of topics surrounding work, life, and professional development, leveraging my 20-plus years as a global leader within the livestock industry and my ever-growing professional network to interview other leading professionals. We couldn't do this without our sponsors, NutriQuest, IFF, and Continental Search. Reach out to us on our social media platforms or visit theswineGroup.com and subscribe now not to miss another episode.
Hello everyone, welcome to Season 2 of Coffee in the Barn. My name is Andres and I'll be your host for this season. Previously on Season 1, we had a wide range of topics from career opportunities, to personality types, to traveling internationally, gaining experience in the farming industry, and much more. Whether you are a student, a teacher, a professional researcher, or a veterinary, we have something for everyone. Make sure to check our show notes as well as our website, coffeeinthebarn.buzzsprout.com, Buzzsprout as BUZZSPROUT.com, so you don't miss any of the episodes with our amazing guests. Now, on Season 2, we want to do things differently. This time, we will interview members of the Coffee and Careers Committee and get to know them better, their career journey, and some insights on their experience in the farming industry. We will have different interviewees for each guest, and for today's interview, we have Dr. Helen Cao as our guest, who will be interviewed by our founder, Dr. Casey Bradley, and Mr. Edward Yang. We will explore Helen Cao's decision to go from China to the US and the things that she went through to make the decision that changed her life. But before we jump into the episode, would you like to know the secret to developing your professional self? We have the solution for you. We just launched our ebook, which presents a series of tips and advice to improve your networking, presentation, and speaking skills, making you stand out among other professionals. Subscribe to our email list by clicking in the link in the show notes to get your ebook, news about future episodes, upcoming events, programs, and more. Also, if you love the Swine Group's outreach and mission, please consider supporting the cause and buy us a coffee. The link will be in the show notes as well. I promise the money will keep funding our amazing outreach, our student externs, and new solutions for animal agriculture. And now, on with the episode.
Well, hi, Ellen. It's glad to have you on our podcast. Would you mind sharing with our audience your background?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So, very brief. It's many years too old to to introduce myself. So, spent my PhD graduate from in Kansas State from 1996 to 1999. So about 3.5 years for PhD program in we call monogastric nutrition, which means swine and poultry. So I have both species in my PhD work. My work was mainly focusing on the interaction between feed processing and ingredients, animal performance, and gut health. So that helped me establish a little bit fundamental knowledge on the gut health side. And so because I run 19 very productive 3.5 years, I run 19 animal trials, basically double. Wow. Double all the other PhD work. That's for sure. I got that reputation working crazily. I think one reason is I work on the swine and then poultry. So you have two different species, and then the different. You have the soil project, nursery project, and finishing pigs, and then I have ingredients, soybean and sorghum, genetically modified. And then I have the processing technology, extrusion, expander, expanding and piloting. So different particle size, which give you like kind of like a huge school for me. Finished 19 project with Dr. Hancock I think he's retired back to Texas. But I got a fairly good training in terms of research methodology from him. He's very, very strict on the student. So
yes, I've heard that about him. So
yes. I also learned from the fellows. I have the Dr. Jim Smith and Goodman and the other swine group. Dr. Hans is in my committee, and Dr. Benke from Green Sense is in my committee too. And I have another professor from agronomy who is doing genetic modified soybeans or greens. So with this combination of the four committee members, I really learned a lot, and also a huge challenge when you have to adapt yourself to the four totally different directions: feed processing, animal nutrition, and then the agronomy. You have to know the genetics. I have to grow my own sorghums. It's a funny, grow my own sorghums, own soybeans, and working with the farmers. We have some farmers and contract to work in because you can harvest them together with other greens, and then you have to do a lot of labor work. I think that's a good exercise physically too.
Oh, I was gonna say, I love it. I love hearing the fact that you're multidimensional in your training. Quick question to back up a little bit. What brought you to study at Kansas State from China? What was that like? What was that transition like for you? And why did you want to come to the USA?
That's a very, very good question. When I applied for the visa to US, the embassy at the consulate asked me a question because they have this step. They can say no or yes. And I see the people in front of me, they are long line to apply for the visa, and they get sometimes rejected. So when they come to my turn, they ask, what bring you to Kansas? Why are you going to Kansas? So I only say one sentence. I said because Kansas is an agriculture state, and that's the place the world looking at, and that's it. So he went boom with one stem. And then when I look at that stem, okay, that's approved. So that's actually that's the main reason, because I went to the agriculture university, Northeast Agriculture University in northern China, and also I've been achieved my master degree in the animal production, my bachelor degree in animal science, and then I teach animal ecology, production management, and even horse management. So it's funny. So I can go to watch the horse racing in the bed and they get money. I did that in Kentucky one time, and then my friends are surprised. How do you do that? I said I teach the horse sense. So I know which one is good, which one is not good. So you get by looking at the muscles, looking at their legs and stuff. So with that experience, I have been working as a lecturer, which is an assistant professor type of position, for 3 years before I applied for the PhD in Kansas. So it's at that time, Kansas State is very famous. I hope it's there still and will be for a long time. So the animal nutrition program has been very strong since then, actually. Yeah.
It's one of the best.
Very intensive training and a very friendly atmosphere for the graduate school. And all my fellows right now, the people who work with right now, they are all at the, I think, in the core team for the industry in a different company, either in the animal farming industry or feed business or feed additive. I think if I name all of them, you'll know them. And this year I will be able to meet them again. And the group help each other a lot. I think graduate school is not just a place for learning. It's not a place for just doing research. It's a place to develop a network, a good network for lifelong.
And I would say Kansas State, of the majority of the universities that I know, is probably one of the best at networking their students
Yeah.
and staying in touch with their alumni. I think that's an incredible endeavor that they keep going. And I think as we try to push our students, if they're listening, as we try to push them to get outside of their university and their network, and we try to push that a little bit more for, especially for some of the smaller universities that don't have as big of an alumni maybe base. That but I want to ask this question about your career journey.
Mhm.
When you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Scientist. That's very funny statement. Like 5 years old, and I will carry a big somebody's suitcase. I will carry it. I said that I'm a university like professor. That time you don't know the title, and just like a college student type of things. So I will carry that, and my family are very triggered. They said, "What? They even don't know there's a university there somewhere." So I think. I've been a good student always and hardworking, and I grew up in a state farm because we call state farm is not a village. It's different. State farm means in those rural areas they're using heavy machine, using the people retired from army to live in those farms because nobody there. It's pretty difficult. The climate is not good and the land is not cultivated, so you have to do the work. So when I grew in a state farm, you really see agriculture. It's not like a vegetable field in front of you or something like that. It's still called a big agriculture. It's a kind of like an industry. You see the heavy machine, and next machine come in, and the modern agriculture, the pattern already showed at that when even at that time. So that's my luck, I think. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a very similar background. I grew up on a farm, and I wanted to
Big
be
farm.
yeah, I mean, I guess it was big for the time, but yeah. And then I wanted to be a veterinarian, but life takes us in different directions. You're a scientist, but did you imagine you'd be where you're at today in your career? And kind of talk us through that journey from your PhD at Kansas State to your position now here at what we in the US will call New Hope.
I think not at the beginning. When you get into go through middle school, high school, we are born in a good time. So you have all the formal education system established in 1980s. So we get a chance to go through the whole pyramid, moving up into the education system. And then by the time you admitted to college, your dream will be computer. That's a sense because it's new, or even some finance or banking. This is fancy name. But when I get into the Northeast University, Agriculture University, you start from refresh your ideas and wow, pigs have to be grown in a horse, and we don't grow pigs in a horse, right? In a building, we grow in like a half open with a curtain drop down, something like that. And you don't feed them feed, you feed them whatever left over kitchen left. So when you see from there, you don't really see future of the animal industry at that time. So it's very funny. By the end of the college, so we have we call intern, 3 months intern. That's my another luck. I went to Liaoning, which is a state. They have the first intensive swine farm. It's only 2,400 source farm, but with a full system, with the nursery, everything, and with all the equipment, the housing system. Like in you get, for me, that time could be like the kids right now going to visit SpaceX. Right? So it's totally different because even you read the animal nutrition, animal reproductive, breeding and stuff, but when you go into the image, it's still a curtain in front of the barn and open system. But when you really get into that farm, and that's the farm very close to the Western country, European style, I think that impression stay there. So I think a good internship is really good to help the people like me to transform into a lover of the industry, or you start to know it. Otherwise, the books really don't give you that much, right? The books give you this wording, it's all wording, right? Sometimes we read, my English is pretty good even at the college. So I read a lot of international literature, those books, but there are some small pictures in the book. You look at too far from you. Only when you really get into a farm, all your sensors, you see the pigs, you smell the pigs, and then you feel it. And then you standing at this end of the corridor, you see through the hallway, it gets shocking. It's really shocking. So I think that changed me. And then when I go into graduate school for my master's, I stay. Many people can go their work to different direction. They can go to basic biology or doing something else, or you can join like the government system, start to change into totally different direction. But I stayed. I think my master is on the animal production system management, so that's pretty good. Yeah.
Talk about some of your roles that you've had between Cargill and Novus along your way. What did you like about those roles, and how did they help you grow to where you are today?
Wow, that's a long way. Look at that. I think that's during the past, I reshaped a lot of we call mindset, and that bring me today. I call myself. I'm not a nutritionist anymore. I'm still a tech person. I never changed that, but I call it tech management. So one scientist or one person is you do things by yourself, and then by being a tech management, you start to bring a group of excellent people together to great things. So it's a different philosophy now, and then I think that come from the experience what this industry bring me. When I got to finish my postdoc in Detroit Medical Center on the human gut health, infant gut health, on the early weaning, we call weaning. It's still weaning. So the baby pigs will have this GI tract damage, and that helped me, my experience, my PhD work, helped me to get the postdoc position in one state on the infant gut health, the wounding from the early weaning, so that because that damaged the kids. So I think the early they leave the mother, they don't breastfeeding, and I think the early they develop the damage. So human health realize that, but they need some people with experience. So I did my postdoc there, and I got to see the chance position opening in Cargill Animal Nutrition Center in Elk River. A couple of friends went there, and they introduced me because at that stage, gut health is still a little bit early and a hard topic. So I joined the swine research team there. I met a lot of good teachers, and also in a big organization, R&D, how they run R&D program, how they manage R&D people and R&D project. Even you observe. I'm a good observer, even though it's a certain position you can only observe, you don't really practice. So for me, I think
That's a good
if
point.
I want to give a good advice for the young graduates, master, PhD who enter the industry, you have to be a very good observer. But at the same time, you have to be able to execute, right? Otherwise, you're gone. So I think with the capability to observe, I learned why cargo is good, why cargo animal nutrition is so strong. And I also learned from we have at that time 18 PhDs from all of the university, Illinois, Kansas, everywhere, right? So they are so experienced and so excellent. And then we also worked with international people. At that time, Cargill acquired Purina, the international part. And then they bring this international technical service team. So the nutritionists from the field, what they're thinking, and how a PhD can do something beyond R&D. They are working in the field. They are still nutritionists. By working I still think the best group of animal nutritionists in the in the industry at my early stage of the career really helped me to have a good start. Even though you feel like you can stumble into any project, any difficult, but when you are new there, right? You are not growing that smooth. You're learning, you make mistakes, you have to practice and then fail and something like that. But when I worked through the over hundreds of projects report, and the report means I have to do the data analysis, and also I work in the real world on the animal nutrition R&D. You have to design the trial. You are questioning why you're wasting your money, something like that. It's totally different from you're doing research in the university. So that big transition can cause two results. One result is you start to lose the nature of a scientist. That's not good, because you question too much and then you start to lose this type of innovation. You are just doing your day-to-day job. That's not good. That's something I have to be really cautious to keep you still R&D person and scientist. And then on the other way, you can become a very good R&D person, still have the business sense. You know, industry has to survive. You know, the budget is not just a budget. That could be with a profit, with hundreds of millions of pigs died or grows well. So there's some extra meaning in the day-to-day work. Even though the days with the cargo is not long, I think working the whole life in that organization might be good, might be better, but I'm glad I move on with the later years. Everywhere can teach you differences, but I'm sure I learned a lot from that experience as a real industry R&D person, and the first step. So after that, I joined Nutrico in Norway, actually. So Nutrico have aqua and swine poultry. So with my working experience, R&D experience, at the same time, I remember I passed many interviews, and then I choose because they let me to work on the fish, salmon. So my experience is like why I moved to salmon because I was one poultry nutritionist, and then my second thought is somebody paying tuition for me to get my second PhD degree. So I treat my working experience in Nutrico in Norway as a second PhD degree. But it's not totally new, because salmon is a monogastric. And I still remember the first time when they opened the salmon stomach, I get the acid burned my skin. I start realize that's a real stomach. It's not a joke. Yeah, so they are a monogastric animal, and the adult size of the salmon can reach like 8 kilos. So that's a typical nursery pig size, much higher than the heaviest chicken, right? So with that, that's a great experience. You transfer your knowledge on the species across species, from one species to another species. But the methodology is the same. Sometimes you're much better than this aqua nutritionist, because they never know pigs, right? Mm-hmm. So So when this jump from one space to another space, it's helped me to move into right now the fancy name called digital nutrition. But at that time, for me, it's not digital nutrition. It's just animal nutrition, feed and nutrition database set up scale. So you started to thinking what's the nature of the animal nutrition as a supply and need, and then how to meet the need. So you're using what kind of supply you use as an ingredient you use to supply the nutrition to meet the need. And once you have that, everything will be the number. So you convert everything into through the chemistry analysis, and they convert it into number. So it become a digital game. So right now with the computer science and stuff, but by that time we really don't have. We're still using the very, very fancy old-fashioned computer, right? But the digital nutrition means you understand the number. So each step in your career, you treat it with a positive attitude. Even at that time, all look back, you really learn from the people and from the opportunity. So I always appreciate Nutrico, the team, and they give me. I said they paid the tuition for my second PhD degree. It's difficult to make that jump. I think not many people have the chance to do that. But once you do it, you understand nutrition on a different level. And after that, I come back to US, working for the University of Minnesota in the Swine Center with Dr. Beidou as my good friend, and for just 1 year to catch up some work due to a colleague absence. So it's a good transition from the industry back to the academic. I thought I'm going to apply for a faculty position, right? And then eventually I said, oh, it's difficult. I like industry better because the boss has money, right? You only need to do the work, and then you don't need to apply for a lot of money to do that. So I joined Novus International. It's a feed additive company. And I think my huge transition of my career start there. We call from a scientist to a technical management. So you're a technical person, and then next step, you are into a level we call technical management. So the difference is you do things by yourself as a scientist, but as a technical management person, you have to lead a group of people and to plan for the work. And then each scientist that they have flying mind, right? They can go any direction, and you can also work with new graduate. And the new graduate, they have different methodology, they have different idea, different generation, insights of in technology. When you put all the people into one R&D system, that's very difficult. And as an observer, I work in St. Louis with St. Louis team. You see how they put the new, old, different, and even from different university, the people into together. We call SOP, the R&D SOP. That's the things I learned most in with Novus International. It's a feed additive company, but it's still a technical company. I have to say that. And all the research follow the SOP. Everything needed to be accurate. So you modify the SOP based on the new people coming and have new ideas stuff. But then that become a part of the system. That's something I was really impressed, because Illinois team might have totally different philosophy, right, in terms of research, and Kansas too. So, but when you bring 2 or 3 people from different university into one company, the company has to be really good at technical management to get things done. Otherwise, the inconsistency will happen, right? This year you have a good one, next year you have a not so good but different one, and then your data will never be consistent. The result will vary, right? So I think for the companies, either feed additive, animal health, or I think the first thing to establish will be the called R&D system and the SOP. It's like training, like swine farm training, right? Either the girls, boys, housewife want to have a job, and then first thing they have to learn the SOP. Otherwise, they will follow the curtain, I call curtain type of system, like grow the pigs. Why you need to eat so well, right?
I was a researcher for the first half of my career, and I lived by SOPs. It was very stringent, and my personality kind of shaped that to that model a lot. And then I went into industry, and they were concerned about some of my personalities that they picked up on a profile, but I really had to change and adapt to where SOPs are important in research and development, but when we're in the real world, you have to be very adaptable at the same time.
Yeah. So you get very good points. My next big change, when I finished my training period in St. Louis, I was sent to Asian to run the R&D and technical system when I was in the international, Asian Pacific, including Australia and New Zealand. I started to work with customers, and then you find the result or the product you get when you send them to their farm, to the customers, and they have totally different situation. So the story you created, you see, the result you see, it doesn't work in the field anymore. So that's a very frustrating at the beginning. You said, I believe I generated this data with a very strict SOP and the scientific background, everything is right, hypothesize and stuff. And then you come to the real world, sometimes it doesn't work. You get a 5% improvement in the lab, and you have only sometimes even no difference. Then that no difference hurt the customers, right? Customer put money in, and then you get no difference as acceptable. So your sales performance, your image were all affected. And then I think in Asian, I supervise in total could be over 20 PhD just for the Novus team. And then when I work with those people, you start to see another difference. So they don't do R&D, they do technical service. So with that, when you are into a real world, how to bring this group of people to use the data you generate in the lab into bring to the customer to bring profit for them. And then the student, the PhD with 3 years working difference or 8 years working difference from different university. Some are strong in physiology, some are strong in processing. They are totally different people. So now you face the challenge to put all the people together, and then they have to deliver, and they have to convince the customer, and they have to understand the science at the same time translating into a field language. So that's what I learned more. You are not just you walk out of the Eden garden, right? You are into a real world, and that's the time for huge change for PhD people, even like me. So I think that bring me very good training on the how to manage people, how to train them, and then you have to use them with their we call it difference. So I create a matrix, we call matrix, the matrix method. So each person will only focus on one species for sure, but each person on the cross, you have to manage one product. So I have those like over almost 20 PhD technical people. They will work with one species being strong, be called expert. So they have been in the farm, they have know the feed, and they have to know everything about this species. And then at the same time, they will become expert for one product, for example, antioxidant, organic acid, or something like that, enzyme. And then so they achieve this certification to be an expert. For that's when I start to understand PhD, a different group of animals, or we call graduates a different group of animals, and they will need a sense of achievements much better than other people. I think it is because they devote their best years into graduate school, and they want that reward. And that reward is not just money, not just the salary. It's the respect and also the sense of achievement. But how do you give them achievement when they only being a technical service person to sell a product for generated by some scientists in the lab? And then my work might not work. So you get sometimes hot water, cold water, right? So it's hot. Sometimes you feel cold because you get this cold face from the customers. Sometimes nasty word, and sometimes it's so good, unbelievable. How could that? So with that, it's a challenge for those people who step into the technical service field, and then eventually they either become a commercial promoter, promote something they even don't believe themselves, by themselves. And sometimes they have to withdraw from the industry because they are not good at this transform. So to encourage them to stay in the field where they are needed, but where they're too much challenge for them. I think my matrix model really work with a team like this. Might not be for all industry. I think for the feed additive industry are very good. So each person will become, so they will serve as the matrix also have 3 dimensions we call region. So if for a large international business, you have multi-species, multi-product, and then huge, large region. So I can bring a PhD from India who is good at organic acid and in poultry. And then he serve his country, his region. I can bring them into China, and he will become a hero in the local team. So, and 2 weeks there, they bring the sales of customer recognition, everything, and everybody will love this Indian guy because he's so good and he's so expert. So with that, I can bring a guy from southern China who is an expert in swine and antioxidant, and into Taiwan or into some other regions. And then they become so proud of themselves. And they visit a new world. It's like a free vacation, right? You eat some Thai food, eat some meet local people, but at the same time they come back with a different level of the self-recognition and achievement.
I would say that's what AB Vista did for me. Very similar role. They were launching Quantum Blue and superdosing in Europe while I did a lot of the research in graduate school, and then early in my career, and I was a customer using it for AB Vista, and then I was in that role. And that experience, as you said, was critical into that confidence that I had as a technical manager.
AB Vista is a very good company. Yeah, it's in the enzyme industry. Everybody look up at it.
I would like Edward to ask one question about career development.
Because, I mean, Helen mentioned a lot of great things and make 4 great points, but I'm going to ask only one. So the 4 points I made is, first, you mentioned about mindsets. You change mindset throughout your journey, which is something great. Also, you mentioned about tech management. It's some term that maybe students don't really get into know because everybody just focus on what they do. They don't know in the future they might get into a leadership role that needs tech management. And the third thing I think you mentioned very good, it's get out of your comfort zone and learn something new because somebody else is paying for your second PhD. I really love that. And the fourth one, it's using the SOP to get consistent result. I really love those ones. But for people who wanted to stay in the comfort zone and they're not willing to change, what is your way to persuade them to get into the new world? Or how to motivate people to change?
That's a very good question. You can't, for any business, you can't keep firing people. You have to use people, right? For HR, you have 4 functions. You recruit, you train, you use, and you retain. It's not part of, they didn't say not retain. Why? Because retain is so costly effective. And then you have to train them to motivate them. For them, I think I have a way to teach them grow. If any job, any position, you don't help them to grow. And that word is easy to say, but hard to do. Word called for grow. For PhD, especially PhD, they don't talk with their boss. Boss means they come in, say, blah, 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 boss, I'm not happy with you, blah, blah, stuff. Most people will talk with their leg. They will walk out. That's their talking. That's not good. So you have to observe the people whether they're growing. Once they're growing, they don't have time to walk out. They grow. So I think and then that's from the manager side. But for the young people, how do you know they are growing or they want to grow? So you have to train them. We call build a horse. So for a PhD who just graduate, you have a small horse, very productive horse. You're either animal nutrition, you are amino acid nutrition or mineral nutrition or something like that, or genetics. But it is just a small horse, like a hub. And then, but for PhD entry into the big world, that small horse is not enough. And that small horse will become outdated because the knowledge is updated, the techniques are updated. So you have to start to, I call it 3 year. Every 3 year, you start to move into a bigger horse. But many people can go to the wrong way to change a job or change a field. So this year I'm working for feed industry, and next year I'm moving into swine industry or something like that. So the big in the horse is it's called a personal knowledge structure. So your first horse is swine nutrition for me. I'm a swine nutrition, for example. And then the second horse, I start at 1.5 year, for example, I start to build the horse on one wall. You have plenty of time, not like graduate school, you're driven by the professor to get out of here or something like that. So you have 3 years, your clock need to click on your own pace. So you build a first wall on the first 6 months, and second wall on second month, and then get a little bit bigger roof. So it's kind of like a wall. The first wall is the knowledge. So, for example, your swine nutrition, your PhD thesis is on the amino acid, and then the real world, they don't need that. They need a little bit more than that. They need everything about swine. So you can build this microbiology on the first half year, and then the second year could be a little bit on the how to change the microflora or something like that, some other ingredients. And then with all the wall rebuilt, you start to have more room to participate in more projects. So that second horse cover the first horse. Certain wall may not change, but just grow. But most of the walls you expand. So before you have 6 square meter of room, now you have a little bit 10 square meter, but the house is 2-story. Doesn't mean that you change your position. Doesn't mean that you are getting a higher position. You start supervise people. So by 3 years end. So if my career pattern, 3 years could be a maximum enough. So and then by 3 years you build a totally fresh new horse with more productivity and the capability too. So next, if your company give you enough room to realize you're changing, they will give you a little bit higher. Otherwise, At that time, you can change. But even you change, your life will still be same. You're not adjust your 25% raise of salary. You are moving into another platform to build the third house. So the third house could be 20 square meter, but take years. If people ask me what's my position, I would love to say I'm an animal nutritionist, but I'm way beyond that. Now I can do the human nutrition. I can on the digital, we call data management, and even headhunter. I can manage people. I can evaluate people. So each year over the career path in NOVAS and then CP and then the New Hope, each year I almost interview over 300 graduates. So I know generation by generation the difference and stuff. So that's headhunter job, right?
Yeah.
The HR job, yeah. So the house build, and then if by someday I lost all the interest, I can go back to my nature. I will be a formulator, right? I can still be a formulator. So your life become more colorful and meaningful, but at the same time you can still be a contributor. You don't cost any employee your employer's money to waste their money to grow yourself but not contribute.
I love it.
I love it. I'm just going to make one final point. You said luck a lot throughout your journey. You said luck. I think I heard something a lot different. I heard that you deserve what you've gotten because you've worked for it.
Thank you.
I appreciate you sharing your story with us for the Coffee in the Barn.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a good day to know you, and I hope I have more chance to work with the young professional, animal science professionals, and the world need food and need safe food, right? So yeah. I think we're in a very good industry. Even no matter how the world change, we just integrated a new idea, new technology into our old industry to keep it fresh. Yeah, it works the whole life. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would love to definitely catch up in Omaha with you.
Okay.
And
Thank you
learn how we can work together. You're truly an inspiration. Thank you.
We hope you liked this interview. You can listen to this and other episodes on coffeeinthebarn.buzzsprout.com. We would also like to thank our sponsors, NutriQuest, IFF, and Continental Search. We are grateful for supporting us in this journey. Remember to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram at Coffee and Careers in Animal Science, and our YouTube channel, Animal Science Office Hours. Make sure to check the links in the show notes, and remember, life is short, take your coffee in the barn.